I know it's easy to dunk on the Dallas Mavericks, but they make it so damn easy. Has any basketball team ever had a worse 3 months, especially from a PR standpoint, a roster management standpoint, than these Dallas Mavericks than in the last 2 to 3 months? The Dallas Mavericks have failed to make the playoffs after losing to the Memphis Grizzlies. Anthony Davis did everything he could. He put up 40 points and was very good for much of this game, but didn't have any help whatsoever from his Mavericks teammates. And then, so fittingly, exited the game due to an injury, and that was it. The Mavericks were out of the playoff picture and they were eliminated in the play-in tournament. And just as Anthony Davis was exiting the game due to a calf injury, ESPN did some nasty camera work. They immediately panned to Nico Harrison, who was in attendance for this game. This loss culminates a lost season for the Dallas Mavericks. After just 10 months ago, these Mavericks were in the NBA Finals, but thanks to Nico Harrison and ownership, they have completely destroyed the Mavericks franchise, not just for the short term, but possibly for many years to come. And how did they do this? Well, it all started when Nico Harrison traded the generational talent Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers. He justified this move by focusing on defense. Defense wins championships, so he says so often. And this prompted the move to bring in Anthony Davis to Dallas. To follow up this pathetic trade, sending Luka to the Los Angeles Lakers for the often injured Anthony Davis, he decided to trade Quentin Grimes to the Philadelphia 76ers for Caleb Martin and a second-round pick. After the trade, Quentin Grimes goes on to average 22 points a game for the Philadelphia 76ers. Meanwhile, Caleb Martin only suits up for 15 games as a Dallas Maverick. Right on cue, only 3 quarters into Anthony Davis's Mavericks debut, he re-aggravated his abdominal injury that left him out for an indefinite period of time. In early March, things go from bad to worse as Kyrie Irving is playing a ton of minutes trying to stop the bleeding that already seems like a sinking ship for this season for the Mavericks. But as Kyrie was driving towards the basket, he tore his ACL, and just like that, the core stars of this revamped Dallas Mavericks squad is now out for an extended period of time, with Kyrie Irving likely out well past the All-Star break into 2026. Davis did make his return in late March as the Mavs were clinging to the 10th seed for a play-in spot, as they eventually did make the play-in tournament only to be eliminated. Earlier this month, Luka Doncic made his return to Dallas, and this was the first time he showed up to the arena as a visiting player. Obviously, emotions were running high. The Mavs PR staff did an excellent job with a very touching video tribute just before tip-off that even brought Luka Doncic to tears. This game was full of Mavs fans chanting, "Fire Nico!" and Lakers fans chanting, "Thank you, Nico," as Luka Doncic would go on to light up his former team for 45 points that clinched his team the 3 seed in the NBA playoffs. Prior to the start of the play-in tournament, Nico Harrison held a closed-door press conference. No national media, just local media closely affiliated to the Dallas Mavericks. Surprisingly, Tim McMahon of ESPN did get the invite to this press conference, and he took advantage of this opportunity. He asked Nico very pointed questions, but only got a bunch of deflections, doubling down on his terrible trades that he made earlier in the season, also discounting the support of Mavs legend Dirk Nowitzki, and continuously stating defense wins championships a bunch of times. And it's all there in the receipts. It's just constant dialogue about deflecting and, again, stating that defense wins championships. But this wasn't the last time we heard from Tim McMahon. In fact, he published a scathing article outlining the reasons how the Mavericks got to where they are today. And it's a bunch of circumstances that do stem back to 2023, when the Dallas Mavericks decided to fire longtime head athletic trainer Casey Smith, who's been with the Mavericks since 2004. In fact, he became a very popular employee and grew up amongst the ranks to his head athletic trainer position, also befriending Dirk Nowitzki. And upon Dirk's induction to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in 2023, Nico Harrison, Casey Smith, and a bunch of other prominent figures for Dallas were in attendance, of course. But after that all settled down, Nico Harrison was back in Dallas and he asked Casey Smith to join him for an in-person meeting. Unfortunately, Casey could not attend the meeting as he was in Ohio tending to his dying mother, and instead Harrison sets up a video conference call to fire him. And sources close to the Mavs said that Smith wasn't enough of a yes man, that whenever somebody seemed dinged up, he didn't want to push the player, and definitely seemed evident as he wanted to make sure that he would ensure the player's health rather than risk long-term injury. And Nico was very threatened by Smith's presence. In fact, when news broke to various members in the Mavs organization, this led to Dirk Nowitzki taking a noticeable step back. The Mavs legend was in regular attendance, especially in home games, even part of consultations throughout the season as the Mavs made whatever roster moves during a given season. But since that firing, it seems that his interactions with the Dallas Mavericks have declined due to how this move was carried out, especially in this type of manner. Fast forward to this week, the Mavs are fresh off their elimination and they're giving their end of the year press conferences, and this time it's for the public. And Nico did get grilled from various media members. He got questions like, did you expect such anger and outrage from fans after you made this move? And Nico gave plenty of tone-deaf answers like, I didn't know that Luka was that important to the Mavericks fan base, not to that level. But if you put Kyrie, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively together without any injuries, that's a championship winning team. And this was a common theme for this press conference, where he doubled down again on that Luka Doncic trade, and also, like I said, provided a bunch of tone-deaf answers that not only seem to upset the media members, but also plenty of Mavericks fans who've already been very upset with Nico since this devastating trade. Other questions were asked like, why shouldn't you be fired? And Nico went on to say, I've done a really good job here. I cannot be judged by the injuries we sustained this season. You have to include my work from totality, from the beginning. And I have a really good relationship with leadership. And you'll see this next year when our team is competing for a championship. And to reflect on this series of quotes as a whole, I do understand that the Mavs did face an unprecedented slew of injuries and bad luck this season. But I still do not understand, why did you trade Luka Doncic when he is just reaching his prime as a basketball player? I mean, just last year, he takes his team to the NBA Finals. 2 years ago, he takes the Mavericks with not a lot of talent around him outside of a young, budding Jalen Brunson at that point, to the Western Conference Finals, only to lose to the eventual NBA champion Golden State Warriors. During this whole campaign, we've seen Luka take the Mavs to new heights after so many years in Dirk's twilight years, where he was pushing the team to a first round exit and eventually they just never even made the postseason at all. I think that is very clear that Luka is a foundational building block for this team. Instead, you trade him for Anthony Davis, who's known to be an injury-prone player, and it never made sense from the start. Now, Nico Harrison isn't the only Mavs exec displaying delusional behavior here. I mean, let's talk about Patrick Dumont, who is the son-in-law of Mavs owner Marion Adelson, who is the Mavs governor. And Shams indicated that all these decisions and how recent few media appearances has been under his direction, that maybe Patrick Dumont is the real decision maker here. While rumors are going to continue to swirl about Las Vegas maybe getting a potential NBA team, there's only building momentum that the Mavericks, led by this new ownership group, are going to alienate the Mavericks fan base and turn them against the franchise to the point where nobody is going to go to Mavericks games. It's going to be such an unwatchable product that the NBA will have no choice but to step in and facilitate a relocation to Las Vegas. Now, the jury is still out on this trade. Next season, Nico Harrison could be right. Everything works in their favor and they very well could be competing for a championship. But after only a few months of seeing how this trade has been playing out, it's already clear to me that this is one of the worst trades in NBA history. But comment your thoughts. What's next for the Dallas Mavericks and what moves can be made to improve their roster?